So, fix my computer, I'm pretty sure. Look at me. Make sure the sound is coming in good. Let me know if you can hear me. But fix my PC, I'm pretty sure I got it working well. I figured out what the problem was. Fixing. Yeah, retail sales dropped this morning. Expectations are 0.2% for retail sales. Previously, retail sales shipped at 0.5. As I started again.
Okay, so we should be pretty good now. Let me know if that works. Yeah, I just had to unplug and plug my mic in. Yeah, I haven't even drank my coffee yet this morning. What's up, guys? But I'm here. Yeah, today we got retail sales data dropping at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's expected at 0.3% month over month. Last time was 0.5%. No, I'm sorry. It's expected at 0.2% month over month for August for retail sales. You can see the NASDAQ is around all-time highs, but it's starting to break a little bit under the 200 exponential right here. It's at 24,613. 24,613. Let me know what you guys are watching this morning. So futures are positive mostly today. If you take a look at, dude, I've been sneezing. Ugh. But yeah, futures are positive. You take a look at the NASDAQ. Ugh. NASDAQ closed yesterday at 24,538. Look at this drop right now, though. Something just happened. Let me see if we can figure out what's going on, because the market is falling quickly here. Wow, look at this drop. HSY downgraded at Goldman Sachs. VFC downgraded, but I don't think that's driving this. This is something else. Let me find the breaking news. Okay, so Besant on the TikTok deal said China trade talks, Trump made it clear he's willing to let it go dark, is the quote that just came out. So Besant on the TikTok deal, China trade talks, Trump made it clear he was willing to let it go dark, end quote. Scott Besant. That might be driving the market down. He said talks were done with great respect, very fulsome on the China talks. But again, on tariffs, lots of other authorities we can use. Tariffs will help us pay down debt. But again, on the TikTok deal, he said he made it clear he was willing to let it go dark, end quote. That's what I see. I don't see any other news. U.S. auto regulators opens a direct probe into Tesla's Model Y doors, according to Bloomberg. That might be affecting Tesla here and driving the market down. Here's Tesla on the top right, on the top left charts. Tesla at 414s. Pretty large pullback. Oh. Yeah, gold at all-time highs. I told this story yesterday. I had a terrible day yesterday trading. I got really unlucky, but I just had a terrible day. Terrible day. So basically what happened. Basically what happened yesterday was that if you guys watched the stream yesterday, you know my computer froze twice. I had to restart my computer twice. Because I was so worried, apparently I had taken a long gold trade. I had gone long on gold yesterday. And what happened was that I went long on gold. And I must have taken too big of size, and I must have forgot to set a stop loss before the and my computer crashing stopped me from setting it apparently. And then I basically forgot I was in that trade overall. And this was on my one of my losing, like I had one losing funded account. The other two are very deep in the green. One's red. But I had set this gold trade up, and by the time I remembered it, which was about an hour later, because I was so focused on getting my stream back, because I was streaming when this happened, because I was completely focused on getting my stream back, I wasn't even thinking about the gold trade that I was in, and it was a different symbol than what I was looking at, so I couldn't really see like my profit or loss moving at all. By the time I remembered it, I looked at it and gold was up huge, right? So I'm assuming I'm like big and green in this gold position. And I look back at it and the funded account's gone. So apparently like I got max loss hit somewhere in this pullback. It must have been like here. My guess is it was yesterday, just early in the morning yesterday on one of these big range pullbacks. I think it was at like, let me see, I remember it was at my time on my toss is Eastern time, so I remember it was at like 9:15, 9:12 Eastern time. Still don't know how I lost here. Oh dude, I got stuck in this big dip, bro. I got stuck in this big pullback. Okay. Yeah, and so I reset mine. I did back to funded and I reset it, and so now I got a fresh one. And now it's in the green. I mean, now it's flat, so I guess that's good. But man, just unlucky, man. I was just unhappy about it. Just bad luck, man. My computer crashed twice. Apparently, what my computer said it was some type of like I had Gemini walk me through what it probably was, and yeah, I mean, it was almost certainly the update. So I rolled back the updates and then I updated all the drivers that I had. And then what I did was I did a test stream where I recorded something for 3 hours on OBS to see if it would hold, and it worked fine. So that's all it was. All right, guys, let's take a look at yields. Honestly, odds on the Fed FOMC rate decision are unchanged from yesterday. There's still 96 to 4% chance that we cut rates 25 basis points. I did see an interesting thing regarding the president on what the president posted. The president posted this yesterday. Right, hold on. Stupid freaking ads here. Hold on. Okay, the president posted this yesterday. Hold on, let me make sure. Hold on. Oh, this is not what I was looking at. Maybe this was this morning. So OPEC plus delegates will meet in person in Vienna on the 19th of September to discuss the issue of production capacity assessments, which will be used to determine the new businesses or the new baselines in 2027. European Commissioner President von der Leyen faces no confidence votes in European Parliament in October. What I saw earlier, this was earlier. I saw the news regarding Tesla, but hold on, let me back up a little bit. I basically saw something that said that they're going to put in Moran ahead of this FOMC meeting, or that Besson is also still speaking, guys, and he said, I expressed disappointment on Nvidia to China. I'm seeing productivity increases from AI and the job market is in balance, is what he said. But I basically saw something that said that they were going to put in Moran as Fed governor to replace Cook, and that they're going to do it before this next FOMC meeting so that Moran does the vote instead, which would mean that the president has someone there that is much more pro rate cuts than previously. And so I'm wondering if that's going to mean any influence to rates. I mean, I'm sure it's going to have some influence. I still think we're going to do 25 basis point rate cuts. But yeah, that's a dynamic you might want to focus on a little bit as well. We have 10-year yields sitting a little bit lower than they were yesterday morning when I looked. Yesterday when I looked, they were like 4.07%. Today they are 4.05, 4.04% really. So yields are down slightly today. Oil spiking up on that OPEC news. If you look at oil here, oil's all the way up to 63.70s right now. No, this wasn't a DOS attack. A DOS attack would mess with my internet. And this froze my entire computer. My internet was fine the whole time. My internet was running 1200 MBS the whole time on upload speed, which is very, very good, right? At 1200 MBS, most people don't have that good of internet, you know? Like, that's very high. And so it wasn't a DOS attack. It was just... Again, I upgraded on Microsoft, forced an upgrade. During the upgrade, there was some type of weird driver issue. Dude, Microsoft doesn't upgrade every freaking 3 days, dude. It's ridiculous. They need to stop. Again, Bessett's still speaking on the China trade. On China trade, the Chinese, and this is Bessett saying this, he said the Chinese sense a deal is possible. The next meeting with China is in Frankfurt, Germany. That they sense a deal is possible. Talks are becoming more productive, and we need to meet again before November 10th, which is the next deadline for the China tariffs. And so again, this is Besant speaking. And so over the last couple minutes, Besant has said, I expressed disappointment on Nvidia to China. I'm seeing productivity increases from AI. The job market is imbalanced. We need to meet again before November 10th regarding China trade, because that's the next deadline for tariffs, and talks are becoming more productive. The Chinese sense a deal is possible. And the next meeting with China is in Frankfurt, Germany. How early do I go to bed to wake up every morning and I mean, I get up at, it's 6 a.m. in Texas, you know. It's not that early. All right, so Bank of America. Bank of America says they are seeing the biggest rotation out of UK stocks since April of 2004. September saw the biggest monthly rotation out of UK equities from a net 2% UW to net 20% UW since April of 2004. FMS allocation to UK stocks is now the lowest since March of last year. Yeah, I mean, I go to bed early, don't get me wrong, but all right, oil at 63.70s. You gotta understand, my whole family, I got kids, man. You know, my kids have school in the morning too. They get up at the same time as me. Everybody here gets up at the same time. We all get up at 6 a.m. And so, you know, everybody here has to get up early during the week. And so, yeah, I mean, we are, yeah. Well, you gotta understand, it's 6:30 in the morning Texas time. I'm in Central Time, so Chicago time, basically. All right, so again, that's the big news today. If we take a look at the NQ is pretty green. 24,538 is where it closed previously. We're still at all-time highs for the NASDAQ here. Looks like the rollovers finally happened here on Top Step X as well. But again, we got a Fed meeting tomorrow. This Christmas music, bro, I gotta make it stop, dude. I gotta go. Here, hold on. Can't handle the Christmas music. It's too much, bro. It keeps happening. All right, guys. So yeah, we got the Fed meeting. Nvidia's under pressure. There's Chinese regulatory concerns about antitrust that they announced yesterday. Tesla is also up. Elon bought 1 billion shares yesterday, although we did just have recent news regarding Tesla. That U.S. auto regulator opens a direct probe into Tesla's Model Y doors, according to Bloomberg. Alphabet, Broadcom, Micron are up. Media and entertainment companies also impacted by regulatory or competitive pressures are down a little bit today. Tomorrow we got the FOMC meeting, the dot plot update, the summary of economic projections, as well as, you know, the big update to rates tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a massive day in markets that you want to focus on and pay attention to, almost certainly, because yeah, it's going to influence things. We're going to see where we're at. It's big. Markets expect a 25 basis point cut, which is 0.25% as of now. And yeah, that's a big change. We've been pausing since last year. So that's a big change. In the grand scheme of things, a 0.25% cut is not going to do that much. But if that starts an easing cycle, people are going to get optimistic. You see gold ripping up all-time highs, because I talked about this yesterday. The reason I wanted to go long on gold, my thesis was correct. My computer ended up messing up and all this other stuff, but my thesis was absolutely correct here on gold. The logic of me buying gold yesterday, and I took a little bit too large of size, and honestly, I probably would have scaled out a little bit if I was watching it and then maybe re-entered. But my logic on gold yesterday was that we are in a potentially stagflation environment, right? We see high inflation fears and high inflation over 3% in some places. We see really weak labor markets and pivoting, economics. And so economy and labor markets turning weak, inflation is elevated and people are fearful of it. And so that seems a lot like stagflation to a lot of different people. And so with that in mind, what asset is going to benefit the most from a stagflation environment? It's probably freaking gold. Yeah, I mean, heading into this cut meeting that we're almost certainly going to cut in, gold flew. Gold ripped up yesterday, broke all-time highs. I got in a little early, but timing is everything, and bad luck with my computer. But yeah, that was the trade. And now I don't know how I feel about gold. I kind of want to buy this little dip, but I also understand, like, we're right before the FOMC meeting. Gold's at all-time highs. Oil is elevated today. NASDAQ's breaking down. Yeah, let me do a poll. I'm realizing I don't have a poll yet. How many times does the FOMC cut this year? 1, 2, 3 plus. It's going to be the 3 options I have. And then none, which low probability. Actually, I don't even know why I said 3 plus, because we only have 3 meetings left. So unless they do an emergency cut, it's almost impossible for them to cut over 3 times. But I digress. I think they'll probably cut 2 to 3 times this year, is my guess. They're either going to cut once tomorrow, skip a meeting, and then cut in December, or they're going to cut every single meeting. They're going to cut tomorrow, October, and December. That's probably what they're going to do, is my guess. But it depends on inflation. Look at the NASDAQ flush down here too. Yeah, we got retail sales in less than an hour here, chat. Yeah, we got retail sales in less than an hour. We got 53 minutes left. There's the timer for retail sales data. NASDAQ's breaking down here. One big one? How big of a cut do you think? You think they're only going to cut once and it's going to be a big one? So you don't think we're gonna cut Wednesday, or you think we're gonna cut big on Wednesday? Which one is that? I'm curious. I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, I think you're wrong, sir. But explain yourself. No rate hike option? You know, despite people's criticisms of Jerome Powell, I don't think Jerome Powell's stupid. And I think raising rates would be stupid. Right now. Now, listen, a lot could change from now to December. A lot could change. If we get really strong labor data from now all the way to December, and we get really elevated inflation data, maybe something happens with tariffs, maybe some other stuff go on. If we get that type of stuff, maybe we do raise rates. It's a low probability thing. But, I mean, it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen at all, but it's possible. Yeah, the VIX was weird yesterday, too. Yeah, the VIX was strange. Yeah, so I'm looking to see if Besant, I think Besant's done talking. So UK home prices rise to 2.6% in 2025, 3.1% in 2026, 4% in May poll. This is a poll, so this isn't facts. These aren't factual numbers. These are just polling opinions. Oh man. Dude, my dreams have been weird. One and done, 25 basis point? I don't know, man. What are the dreams last night, man? Honestly, I feel like my dreams last night had Russia in them, dude. Like, I can vaguely remember some of it. And all I remember from my dreams yesterday was that I was somewhere close to Russia, but I wasn't in Russia. So maybe I was at maybe I was in like Alaska or something. That's all I really remember. And I remember trying to get something set up, and there was something about like, I don't know, dude. The dream was weird. And I'm being honest about my dream. That was the dream I was having when I woke up this morning. All right, guys, we got retail sales. Nasdaq's falling down here. We got 24.6 right here. Yeah, it's too cold. And listen, I'm from South Louisiana. I have no business being there for too long. It's too cold. I've lived in Canada during the winter. I didn't like it. I'll put it that way. And honestly, I think the psychological effects of it are pretty heavily. Like if you see studies, they consistently do polling on people who live in warm climates versus people who live in, cooler climates. The people who live in warmer climates consistently rank higher on happiness polls. right? And it makes sense. Like, I've lived in some of these cold places during the winter. You can't really go outside. You don't really get that much sunlight. It's hard to drive anywhere and risky. You're cold all the time. Now, I like it kind of like, I like sitting inside next to a fire on a cold day. Like, that's nice. But the sunlight is what gets you. You know, you get, like, even living in South Texas or South Louisiana, during the winter, you're a little sadder. You're a little bit sadder. You don't get as much sunlight. You're stuck inside half the time. You know, it's just not as happy of a time. And so I think the psychological effects of living somewhere where it's constantly cold like that is rough. You know? So especially Alaska. Shout out to my Alaskans. Alaska looks beautiful, honestly. Never been. Cheers to you guys. Because I don't know if I can do that. Graph, Joker, morning segment about my dreams. I kind of do already, bro. If I have a crazy dream, I usually tell you guys about it. All right, NASDAQ still flushing down here. China issues 8.395 million tons export quota for gasoline, diesel, and aviation fuel in the third batch of 2025 via trade sources cited by Reuters. They get 650,000 tons of low sulfur marine fuel quota, according to Reuters. One of the things moving up this morning has been oil over the last hour. Look at oil. Now technically green on the day. You know, realistically, what my dream entails is that we just watched, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but my son's watching Stranger Things with us, you know, and we just got to season 4, you know, and so if you know the end of season 3 to season 4 of Stranger Things, that might be where it's coming from. That's plausible, I think, too. Anyways, we're at 24.6 right now, 24.6. NASDAQ's flushing, but it's still pretty green on the day. If you look at how much the NASDAQ is green on the day, it's up a lot this morning. It's at all-time highs heading into this FOMC decision. Honestly, though, my guess is that we come back down a little bit from this FOMC decision. You never really know. But, so U.S. Trade Representative Greer is now speaking. He said, as of yesterday, we believe we have resolved the TikTok issue. He says users' data on TikTok can't go back to China. Right, they say your dreams are kind of your brain eliminating insignificant thoughts for more storage, is what they theorize that your dreams are. There's a lot of theories on your dreams, though. Anyways, yeah, so again, U.S. Trade Representative Greer says, we believe we have resolved the TT issue. Data on TT can't go back to China. We also had Tesla. Good and bad news over the last day. Tesla had Elon bought $1 billion worth of Tesla shares yesterday, or announced it yesterday. He really bought it over the last week. Adam Jonas from Morgan Stanley shares his thoughts at 410. Tesla stock has surged 90% since April and 25% this month. Jonas argues Tesla remains under-owned by institutions. Just 5 out of 120 investors at the Laguna conference held shares. Yet he sees huge potential in physical AI, giving Tesla one of the largest addressable markets among the Mag 7. Yeah, I'm assuming, I don't know what he's referencing when he says physical AI. My guess is he's again, I've said this a bunch of times, but my guess is the next big money grab is physical humanoid robots implanted with AI. Now, I don't know if we're there yet. Maybe he's talking about those little pins that you wear, those AI pins that you can talk to as you're going about your day. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's glasses with AI. But anyways, he highlights Elon Musk's role as talent magnet, calling his long-term commitment essential for attracting top AI and robotics talent, despite debate over the trillion-dollar pay package. He also points to recent product gains, major FSD upgrades, smoother buying experience, and Grok's X's virtual assistant integrated into cars, which he calls the biggest upgrade for an immersive in-car experience. And so, yeah, I think it's plausible that the next step in like money and public markets and interest is going to be, we have robotics at this point in time, and we have AI software at this point in time. I think it's very, very plausible to assume that those two things get combined, and we have humanoid robots that are powered by AI. Kind of like Bicentennial Man almost, or if you really want to go pessimistic with it, Terminator. I think that's the next step here. I think that's the next step. We're going to start combining AI with humanoid robots, and or with robots in general, maybe not humanoid, maybe just robots. I don't know. I think that's the next step. I think that's what's going to bring in a lot of funding over the next 10 to 20 years. And yeah, I think companies are going to vie for it. I think they're going to push for it. I think they're going to compete for it. So let me know if you agree. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, not an investment professional. But I think that's probably the next step, right? Just logically. Remember, I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything. Nothing here is financial advice. Don't copy me. FSD is also physical AI. Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. Yeah, I see the recall news. Oracle is up on a potential deal with TT. There's rumors circulating that Oracle is going to be the ones buying into TikTok in the US, is what I heard. Right? I heard this yesterday, and Oracle is back up. It was back down under 300s. Now it's back up to 320s again. But that was the news I heard. So, yeah, that's the news I heard. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see. I might buy a dip down here, though, in the NASDAQ here. It's the day before FOMC. We've been downtrending for a minute now. I might just buy small size down here and see what happens. We'll take 2 here, and we'll look for a longer term move up trade. I'm looking to maybe liquidate some at like 618s, about $18 higher. We'll see if it happens. Because the robots aren't really, they're not really viable yet, I would say. All right, so Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Bank of America. Okay, so Treasury Secretary Besant and UK's Chancellor Reeves are meeting financial executives in London, according to an official report. Barclays, Revolut, Coinbase among firms in the London meeting, and the US and UK finance firms to announce investments during the visit. Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Bank of America are also represented, they say. Also, Greer, U.S. Trade Representative Greer, said U.S. and China are able to keep trade and tariff issues, quote, to the side, end quote. That's the news that's come out. So again, official confirms meeting between U.S. Treasury Secretary Besant and UK Chancellor Reeves. Barclays, Revolut, Coinbase among firms and meeting. U.S. and UK finance firms are going to announce investments during the trip. Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Bank of America also represented there. Look at gold spiking up here as well. We got retail sales data dropping in about 40 minutes. So we do have retail sales data in about 40 minutes or so. We're trading very small. 2 micro contracts is pretty tiny. I'm going to set a stop loss now, though. So my stop loss here, just to clarify, is going to be here at about 93 underneath us. I'm going to set a stop loss here. 2 micros. And then we're just going to sit because I learned my lesson yesterday. We got retail sales data. I don't know if it's going to move markets. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure. But it's at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to cover it. And then tomorrow we got the FOMC meeting. We got European CPI also tomorrow. Building permits, housing starts. We got Bank of Canada rate decision tomorrow as well. FOMC decision tomorrow. Thursday we got jobless claims, Philly Fed. We got yeah. Friday we got quad witching day. That's interesting. Yeah, we're up a little bit here. Let's see if we can bounce. Yeah, we're in a small trade though, guys, so it's be all right. I'm looking at gold here too. We got a little time. We got about 35 minutes. So. My opinion is that it's incredibly sad regarding him. Anybody that celebrates it is probably not the smartest person realistically, but that it's too political in nature for me to really comment on extensively, you know. But again, I'm not going to celebrate anybody that happening to anybody. I think anybody that happens to is terrible regardless of which side. So that's all I'll say. We're starting to bounce back. We're almost up to 06. I'd like 615, 618s up there around the 200 exponential. We get up to 614s, I'll take profit though. 612, 614s. Do you think the Fed cut still takes a year to take effect? It depends on which market you're talking about. It'll immediately impact bonds and yields and some mortgages. You know, the federal funds rate directly influences the home equity lines of credit, adjustable rate loans. As for everything else, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and sell one of these. We're up enough to where I can comfortably take a piece of this off. Yeah, they're talking about changing it. You need SEC approval. I don't know if we're gonna get it. Switching to one half year, switching to half of a year, you know. I don't know if we're gonna get that or not. We'll see. All right, so we're up some here. I want to give this time. I'll hold the rest break even, probably. And we'll just let this work a little bit. Yeah, listen, one of the things, though, guys, I really... Please do not start arguing with people. The reason I stay away from politics is because I don't want the chat filled with political arguments. And, you know, I see it all over the internet right now. And so let's just refrain from that, please. You know, if it has to do with markets, that's a little bit more understandable. But if it doesn't have anything to do with markets and you're just arguing about politics, I'm gonna put you in timeout. All right. It's just I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm tired of hearing it. It's divisive. We're all one in the stock market right now. So. Yeah, I wanted 612s. We got 610s. This might be enough. But again, we're already green. I think I'm just going to let this work a little bit, see if we bounce back up. And if we don't, we're still green nonetheless. All right, guys, Oracle. Again, still moving up on rumors that they're going to be the ones that are buying TT. We'll see. Again, we got retail sales data in 30 minutes, 30 minutes. Again, my thesis here with this trade is that we might get choppiness leading into retail sales alone, as well as the FOMC decision tomorrow. Take one contract off and hold the other. Why not? I mean, the reason I do that is because I can lock in a set amount of profits and then hold it break even. And so if we break underneath this level here, then I get out still green, but break even on the rest, right? And if we continue to push up, I continue to make more, which is a really favorable position to find yourself in as a trader. Like, you're gonna make money here. In this situation, one situation you make big money, the other situation you make smaller money, but either way, I gotta change this as well. Either way, I'm gonna make money here. You know, and so I can just let it work and not worry about it. It becomes a free trade, essentially, risk-wise. I have zero risk now in this trade. I'm going to make money no matter what happens here. Yeah, the dog talk I'm okay with. I love dogs. All right, the SOFR rate's 4.5% versus 4.42% yesterday. There's the 8 a.m. release here. Gotcha. Yeah. So the current administration orders Delta to unwind joint venture with Aero Mexico. Again, the Senate confirms Moran as Fed governor in time for Wednesday's meeting here. Yeah, I did see the spinning back elbow. Again, that was fight of the year, bro. That was fight of the year right there. Diego Lopez versus All right, so I just got stopped out on the rest. I made a little bit of money, but we ended up just turning all the way back, unfortunately, and that's okay. We're green on the day. That's good enough. It happens. Yeah, I'm interested in gold. Gold's steady breaking all-time highs again today. 37.3360 in gold futures is the new all-time high. All right, guys, we got 30 minutes here. We got over 800 people already. Still got 30 minutes until retail sales data comes out. We'll see what it looks like, chat. We'll see what it looks like. But we do have retail sales data today. Yeah, we'll see what it looks like. I'm looking at Tesla down a little bit. Tesla's had a couple breaking news reports this morning. One about a potential investigation into their doors. The other one was Elon yesterday bought $1 billion worth of Tesla stock. 6 companies are looking to raise fresh capital Tuesday in the U.S. high-grade primary market, according to Bloomberg. Ralph Lauren is presenting its updated strategic growth plan and long-term financial outlook, reiterates fiscal year 26 guidance, and plans to return $2 billion to shareholders through fiscal year of 2028. Yeah, one of the things I'm seeing here, though, look at the Nasdaq breakdown here. So looks like my stop was the right stop because we got out in time to avoid all of this. Let's see if there's any reason. Could just be a crack, a test of lows. But what I'm seeing in terms of polo stuff, Ralph Lauren, is they're definitely becoming less popular than they were. And this is, again, another instance of fashion companies I don't like investing in. And I have a bunch of polo shirts, right? But the problem is that, and polo's been around for decades, a long time, like what, 40, 50 years? Probably longer than that, really, but really popular for 40 or 50 years. The problem is that it's becoming less cool to wear polo. You know, like I think the mid 2000s, it was really cool to wear polo. And then as time went on, people became, generations wanted to be different than their parents, right? And so what we're seeing now is just less people. It's more, at this point in time, the cool thing is having no logos at all, right? Like no logos is now the new thing. You don't want any logos. Kind of quiet luxury, I would describe it, is probably the cool thing now. And paying $100 for a polo shirt is just kind of like, you know, I don't think a lot of people are about it now. My opinion is that the market will continue to rise into the second week of November, and then we'll see a sharp decline. Why do you think we're going to see a sharp decline in the second week of November? Is it because the tariffs for China are supposed to kick in? And so if we don't have a tariff deal at that point, it's going to be looking pretty, it's not going to be looking optimistic. Nasdaq's starting to flush here. The SOFR rate jumps to its highest this year. Again, I saw it, what, at 4.5%? It did jump, I saw it. Was 4.42% September 15th. Today it is September 15th it is 4.51%. September 12th it was 4.42%, so it did jump to over 4.5% for the SOFR rate. Stagflation. Logos and brands are still in, just different ones. Which ones? I don't know. Honestly, I buy mostly t-shirts. I'll buy like some Travis Mathew t-shirts, or like just some dumb t-shirts. Under Armour t-shirts, Nike t-shirts. Like I'll buy stuff like that, and I've got a bunch of polos already, to be fair. Holding SoFi. Yeah, SoFi's been going crazy, man. Got a lot of big money behind it at this point. A lot of big investors. It's gone from $8 to almost 30 this year. It opened the year at about 15. It's now at 27. A lot of stuff's going crazy this year, to be honest. So. A t-shirt with a front pocket. Yeah. I got some of those. I like those too. They're not hard to find, bro. I mean, they're harder to find, but you can find them. If you really want to be a gangster, bro, you put your calculator in the front pocket. You know. The ladies love it, I'm sure, you know. All right, guys. We got 22 minutes left, 21 minutes left. SoFi is up big, yeah. Nvidia at 177s. Gold elevated, breaking all-time highs again today. Oil spiking up as well, up to 63.70s. Again, yesterday, China launched investigations targeting U.S. chip makers for alleged dumping and probing potential discriminatory trade practices. Again, there are a lot of talks about a framework deal for U.S. to gain control of TT's U.S. operations. And it all has to do with data, guys. This all has to do with data, right? Like this whole vying for control has to do with data. You know, people always like one of the biggest, like one of the worst looks at AI is that, oh, they're not making that money on AI. You better believe they're going to figure it out. You know why? Is because what they're going to profit from AI on is data. They're going to profit data from AI. Much more data than somebody gets like from a search engine. They're going to profit from data. That's what they're going to profit from. It's going to be incredibly profitable for them to do so. People look at things too one-dimensionally. It's not going to be subscriptions. It's going to be the main, you know, goal for, you know, profitability and monetization in AI. It's going to be data. 100%. It's going to be data. Yields are basically pretty flat today. Yeah, Oracle's up pretty big. Like crisscross. I used to wake my daughter up every day for school. I'd wake her up every day with the crisscross song. All right, guys. We're almost here for the FOMC decision. Nasdaq's still trending lower though. Gold's still elevated, oil still elevated. Tesla is green but down over the last few minutes. Nvidia is red again on the day, but it's still elevated over the last few. It kind of, you know, we had this thing where China accused Nvidia of anti-competitive practices yesterday. You can see the big dip right here, and then what ended up happening was that we had this big pullback, and then the president essentially announced that they were talking with China about this and that things were optimistic. And then we ended up rebounding back up here. And then we basically stayed flat since then. So that's what happened yesterday. We filled the gap on the earlier morning bad news. I'm sure she would love to hear you say that online. Yeah, because me waking my daughter up with some cheesy 90s song is just so intrusive, you know. Come on now. She laughs at it. She honestly tells me she wishes I still woke her up with that song, you know. I don't have enough time to do it now, but yeah. For some reason, I'm getting these advertisements for these like Legend of Zelda type ocarinas and flutes, where the guy playing and it's like doo-doo-doo. And I told my daughter one day I'm gonna buy one of those things. I'm gonna buy one of those flutes, and it's gonna sound like an Enya video. And I'm gonna wake her up with one of those flutes, playing one of those flutes. Give it a sound of serenity in the morning. I still haven't done it yet, but I want to. Heretic, yeah. I don't think she would like that one, though. Yeah, micro NASDAQ, again, getting a little volatile right now. The Robert Redford just passed away at 89, according to the New York Times. Rest in peace. Yeah, no. I could never do that, Pawn. There was a time when I would go in there and play guitar, and she hated that for some reason. She liked the crisscross one, though. All right, guys, we're at 600s here. This is a pretty big milestone level, I would say. 24.6. It's the big whole dollar number we're close to now. Downtrending as well, so we could reject here if we get over this. Maybe it holds its support. I'm just kind of waiting to see. Things are pretty muted here. In 15 minutes, we have retail sales data, so markets could be waiting for that. It's very possible. Yeah, I remember my dad used to wake me up with, like, cowboy songs. And so he would put on these ridiculous cowboy songs early in the morning when I had to get up for school. I hated it at the time. You know? But eventually you look at it fondly, you know? Alright, so again, we're at 24.6, 24.6. Did I just draw this level, or did it just automatically draw for me here? I guess it did. Here, we'll put the low here. I'll look at instead, like right here, maybe 85s. And look at 80. I'll look at 85s. I think that's a good middle ground between all these different levels. I want to see if 24.6 holds. Yeah, the natural's good. There you go. I fixed it. Again, 24.6 still rejecting here. Yeah, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Canadian housing starts showed up 246,000, 245.791 thousand. They forecast 280, previous of 294, so a little bit weaker Canadian housing start data than expected here. Cynthia Loomis is going to hold a meeting in Washington to advance her strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. It includes buying up to 1 million Bitcoin. 3 sources say that Russia could be forced to start cutting oil production following attacks in the Baltic seaports. And again, we got retail sales data coming in about 12 minutes, guys. 12 minutes. Again, last one showed up at 0.5% for retail sales. Today's is expected at 0.2%. We got quad witching day this Friday. Y'all be ready for that. Core retail sales expected at 0.4%. Last time was 0.3%. So retail sales is relevant. We also have the import-export price data, but again, core retail sales is relevant. It's expected at 0.4%. Last time core retail sales showed up at 0.3%. All right, we're still testing that 24.6 level. I mean, it could move the market. We don't know how much. I think there's too many people calling for a sell the news event. Maybe. If you think the timer's wrong, hit the live button your best. You're probably delayed on the stream, bro. Hit the live button, put it in 2x speed. You're probably just a little delayed here, sir. So, yeah, hit the live button. Put it in 2x speed if you don't want to have to hit the live button regularly. Hit the live button and then put it in 2x speed and you'll be caught up and then you won't have to hit it anymore. And again, tomorrow we got the FOMC meeting. We got 10 minutes left. About 9.5 minutes left, really. Yeah, core retail sales exclude food and energy. Or it excludes, sorry, motor vehicle, gas, building material, and food. So. Alright, so we got about 9 minutes. That 24.6 level, like I told you guys, still holding pretty firm. It's a whole dollar number that traders naturally kind of flock to watching. Again, bond yields are pretty flat today. They're not really moving much. Trading futures. Somebody just gave me an answer, so I don't know if this is right. This is advanced retail sales. Yes, we're supposed to have yeah, AI just gave me an answer for retail sales about 8 minutes early. It said headline retail sales 0.7%, core retail sales 0.6%. Is it going to show this? Again, remember, AI said it 8 minutes early. If it does, 0.7% and 0.6%. Not an investment professional. This might just be... But this isn't Chat GPT as well. This is a different one. Anyways, headline retail sales expected to show 0.2%. Core retail sales expected to show 0.4%. We'll see if it moves markets. We got about 6.5 minutes left. Where's Salesforce at right now? I haven't looked at Salesforce in a minute. At 240s. Gold still elevated here. We'll look at that a little bit deeper. Again, 7 minutes left. Are you guys bullish or bearish on retail sales today? Put bull or bear in chat. I'm curious. What do you guys think? 7.5 minutes. 6.5 minutes, I mean. All right, so we got bull, 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 bear, 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 bull, ultra bear, bear, flat, bearish, bull, bear, bear. Bear, bear, super bullish, neutral, bear, bear, bear. A lot of people posting a bearish outlook. Bull, bear, bear. Yeah. Are you kidding? We are in stagflation. Who is spending? I'm certainly not. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the data is. I'm not saying anything. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes left. Hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. Bears for the next 6 to 8 hours. Certainly seems like stagflation. Yeah, I mean, we've had high inflation and weak labor. Again, I think it looks like stagflation. That's why I wanted to buy gold yesterday, is because I thought the data trended towards a stagflation type of environment in which we have inflation fear still elevated, but also labor still weak, and this can sometimes precede a recession. Do you guys think we'll hit a recession this year or next? I'm not asking this year or next, but do you guys think we'll hit a recession either this year or next? I think it's possible with the labor trends that we're seeing, especially if we don't cut enough, but all right, guys, 4 minutes left. Depends on jobs. Recession maybe next year. Lambo is selling more cars than ever. No recession 2026 next year. Quarter 3, quarter 4 of next year. Yes. Possible. Playing World of Warcraft while I'm listening. Hey. Gold is here on the right. Bitcoin, I'll put Bitcoin up. All right, guys, 3 minutes exactly right now. 3 minutes exactly. Recession is 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters back to back. That's what a recession is. 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters. Bank of America CFO says the consumer is doing well and credit quality is stable. The New York Times also says the lawsuit filed by the U.S. president has no merit and is devoid of any legitimate claims. All right, guys. Again, core retail sales, which excludes a lot of stuff: food, clothing, furniture, cars, and gasoline. But automobiles are the big one for retail sales. It can be very volatile. So we got to look at core retail sales. The headline number can be volatile. Some people would argue the volatility to look at is important now. But here we go. We got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. I was never a big I was never a big WoW player. I just never really played it like that. I didn't have enough time. I was a video game nerd, but I was more like Halo video game. You know? Like, I always played Halo with my friends, you know? I played Zelda. I like Zelda as well. I like Ocarina of Time's my favorite game. Halo or Ocarina of Time. I don't know which one, but they're pretty close. All right, guys, here we go. We got a minute and a half left. Here we go. Minute and a half, minute and 20 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. We will see what the data shows. All right, 1 minute. All right, here we go. This timer's tad bit early, but that's all right. 30 seconds. Seconds. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on the stream. We appreciate it. Core retail sales expected at 0.4%. Regular retail sales expected at 0.2%. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 3, 2, 1. And here's the report. Okay, import-export data came out at 0.3%. 0.3%. Retail sales data showed up at 0.6% month over month and 0.7% for core. What? Dude. 0.6% month over month for headline. 0.6% month over month for headline. And 0.7% for core. Bro, did AI know beforehand, dude? What? Weird. I'm kind of weirded out, bro. 0.7% for core, 0.6% for regular. Wait. I gotta check this. Dude, AI knew ahead of time, dude. Whoa. Dude, look at this. AI gave me this 9 minutes ago. AI gave me this 9 minutes ago. What do you mean AI knew? What I mean is that 9 minutes ago, I asked AI to summarize today's retail sales report for me, just so I could cover like the basics of what we should be paying attention to during this report. Instead, almost 10 minutes ago, AI told me headline would show up at 0.7%. Okay, wait, actually, so AI got it backwards. Now that I'm looking at it, AI got it backwards. But it's strange nonetheless. AI said 0.6 and 0.7 and it showed up at 0.6 and 0.7 just backwards. Very strange. Very strange. But again, higher than expected retail sales showed stronger retail sales than expected. Core retail sales showed stronger than expected as well at 0.7. Actually, I think I got this wrong here. Let me edit this. So headline showed. Okay, no, I got it. Yeah, headline showed 0.6%. Core showed 0.7%. So stronger than expected retail sales. The Nasdaq reacted positively to it. I'm not going to say which AI. But that was weird, nonetheless. Let's see if this is affecting yields. Again, I'll put this data up on screen right now. Again, here's core retail sales. Again, 0.7%. Here's regular retail sales. 0.6%. Now scrolling at the bottom of the screen here. Interesting. Nasdaq has reacted favorably to this. It's still testing 24.6, but the Nasdaq is reacting favorably to it. I love you. You're actually wrong, Serpent. I don't use any of those. I mean, I use Gemini for sure for AI, but for data, I do not use Forex Factory. I promise you I don't. Yeah. If it was really the one I use, I'd probably delete the comment because, you know, but it's not the one I use. Are those numbers bullish? It shows stronger retail sales and economic data than expected. Stronger retail sales and economic data than expected. We can take a look at yields to see how it's affecting things, and we can also look at the actual retail sales report here just to put this into perspective. All right, so here's the retail sales report. Advanced estimates of U.S. retail sales, food services for August, adjusted for seasonal variation and holiday trading day differences, but not for price changes, were $732 billion, up 0.6%, 0.4% from the previous month, and up 5%. 0.5% from August 2024. The total sales for the June through August period were up 4.5% plus 0.4% from the same period a year ago. The June 2025 to July percentage change was revised from 0.5 to 0.6%, and retail sales were up 0.6% from July, up 4.8% from last year. Non-store retailers up 10.1% from last year, while food services and drinking places were up 6.5%. So they revised the numbers up. They showed a little bit stronger economic data than expected, and I think that made people more optimistic. That's why we're up a little bit. You know, we've had a lot of really scary labor economic data over the last couple months, and so I think this data shows a little bit more strength, less likely that we are going to hit a recession, although I don't think this is going to move things in that regard heavily. And if we take a look at yields right now for the 10-year yield, it's higher. Because, again, this shows strength in the labor market. It shows less of a need to cut rates, just to put this into perspective. We're at 4.06%. Yields are spiking up on this data. Again, so stronger data than expected. Data is good for profits and the economy, potentially bad for cuts. Yeah, I mean, somebody's trying to do a scandal. Listen, I'm going to explain it like this. It's probably the same person creating alt accounts, just kind of being weird because they're insecure about themselves. But I'll put it this way, okay? If you were selling cupcakes and you got a lot of interest in those cupcakes, right? Would you give everybody the recipe to make the cupcakes at home? Of course you wouldn't. Cheers to you guys. I sell the top 3 best cupcakes in the world right now. I'm definitely the top 3 cupcake eater out here. And so, yeah, I'm not going to tell you where I get my data, bro. Get out of here, dude. Most of the time, it's just other streamers that want to be able to post it fast and they can't. And so they're yelling at me about finding it or posting it or whatever. Cry about it, okay? Listen, cry about it. Cheers to you. I hope you have a good cry about it. Definitely top 3 analogies in the world right now. Again, I've told people before what I do for data and for everything, really. It's like I've got this ultra wide monitor right here, bro. I put so many different sources on one monitor. So one individual source is not always going to have the data faster, right? It varies depending on which data release it is. And so, yeah, I mean, we got a bunch of different sources up that we look at to interpret the data fast. You're welcome here. We're doing you guys a service. You're welcome. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, cry about it if you're mad. That's okay. And it'll be all right. Yields are up, right? So again, one of the things with yields is that stronger economic data will make yields spike. Weaker economic data will make yields go down, right? Because weaker economic data means what? It means we're more likely to cut rates more aggressively than before the economic data came out, right? Stronger economic data means what? It means we have stronger economics. We're less likely to cut rates as aggressively as prior to the yield going out. Now, the difference might be marginal. It might be tiny, but yields are going to react immediately to it. And that's why in yields and interest rates follow each other. So if yields are up, it means we have a higher interest rate sentiment. If yields are down, we have a lower interest rate sentiment. Yeah, if I'm not trolling the trolls, what am I doing in life? You know. Yeah, but I don't know how much retail sales are really going to move things anyway, to be completely real. It might not move things that much. I mean, we're up a little bit from retail sales for sure. Yeah, we also had the import-export data come out. Less relevant, but still somewhat relevant. Import-export data came in at 0.3% versus a negative 0.2% for import price index. The actual ratio, let me find it. Hold on. Fed core. Yeah, the import price index 0.3% versus negative 0.2%. You know what's really weird though? Let me look at the AI. Yeah, I mean, we're almost certainly going to cut rates 25 basis points. Gold is actually breaking a little bit down here on this report because stronger retail sales shows less uncertainty, less stagflation of an environment. And so you see gold kind of decreasing now on this report, getting baked into it some. I have 0 stripes on my blue belt, Lewis. But honestly, like, if I could go back in time, I would still be a white belt if I could go back in time, you know? Like, when you're a white belt, you want a blue belt, but then you realize you never wanted it the whole time. And so I told my coach, I was like, I don't want stripes. I don't want anywhere near purple belt. I want to stay a blue belt as long as I can. Well, no, the AI was Gemini. That's what I told you guys. The AI was Gemini. As for my sources for the economic data, I'm not really going to tell you. But the AI was Gemini. But again, the AI got it backwards for this, but it was early. It was 10 minutes early, but AI actually had it backwards. It said headline was 0.7, core was 0.6, but it was close enough to be weird, you know. It was pretty accurate. It's not Bloomberg Terminal. I'm not paying 30 grand a year just to get market data faster. Again, I get this. Again, if you guys watch the stream, I get the data really fast, really fast. And so I don't need Bloomberg Terminal. We're pretty flat right now. I'm wondering if I should buy this dip at 585s. Yeah, I'm not really worried about telling you the source. It was Gemini that did it. I've told people pretty regularly, ChatGPT is not accurate. Gemini's better. It didn't tell me the source though. So yeah, I can see how it interpreted. It said the retail sales report is now live and I'm actively searching for the key figures. Initial economists' expectations were modest, forecasting a 0.2% increase following July's 0.5% growth. I've just obtained August 2025 retail sales figures. Headline surge 0.7, beating the 0.2, which is not accurate. It was 0.6, but it was close enough for 10 minutes early. Retail sales excluding autos climbed 0.6, also exceeding the 0.3% expectation. It didn't say the source though, but it's interesting nonetheless. It got it pretty close to right. Yeah, I mean, I don't like look. It's better to understate and over-deliver, especially in BJJ versus overstate and underdeliver. Because like there's some blue belts where when I roll with them, they just get destroyed, right? But there's other blue belts when I roll with them that I get destroyed. And so I don't ever want to be that higher belt that gets destroyed regularly by lower belts just to have a higher belt. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather wait as long as I can. And I think you only realize that when you mature into it, and you know. So anyways, we're at 24.6. Nasdaq's starting to bounce back, but we're pretty stagnant here. We're pretty sideways. Yeah, the people crying about the source, especially in terms of the economic data, are probably competitors or like, you know, you see a lot of small channels get weird and they kind of like blame anybody they can out of their own insecurity. They're struggling, they're creating content, it's not really getting anywhere, you know. And they for whatever reason they like latch onto an excuse. And sometimes the excuse is me and my sources or whatever it is, right? And so they just end up struggling, and so they'll create a bunch of fake accounts and try to troll and just, you know, they're just crying about it, to be honest. In the end, they probably just don't have the personality for it. Coming from somebody with the top 3 best personalities suited for this in the world, you know, they probably just don't have the personality for it realistically. And cheers to them, you know. You gotta respect them, kind of, I guess. Of course I'm trolling a little bit, but I think I'm due that. I think that's fair. Do you guys think gold rebounds back for the rest of the day? It's at 37.28. John the Kind, yeah. I'm getting wrecked on my short Q position. Why are you shorting the Q at all-time highs, brother? I mean, is it a long-term short or a short-term short? Pun intended. You know? Top 2? Okay. Hey, that's good. I'll take top 2. John, you have the perfect broadcast personality. Top 3, I would say. What does it mean for the dollar? Well, if you look at the Dixie here and you look at 830, 830 came out right around here. The dollar originally reacted. The dollar's basically flat. I don't think anything's really going to shake markets until tomorrow's FOMC decision. I think tomorrow's FOMC decision, like, what you have to understand is that as we get closer to the FOMC decision, the data outside of that becomes less relevant. Why? Because we're so close to the meeting, the odds are almost certainly not going to change unless it's a big data like CPI or, you know, some type of big inflation report or big labor report right around the same time as the FOMC, which is usually not the case. The small data is going to become less relevant. It's not really going to move the odds because you have to think about it in terms of the psychology behind the Fed, right? The Federal Reserve, they're not going to change their decision based off of data that they got in 24 hours before the meeting. You know, they're going to commit to something, they're going to stick with it, and the accompanying data is not really going to matter as much as we get closer and closer to the meeting. It's why you see the odds get stiller and stiller as we get closer to the meeting. Like at this point, 96-4. My guess is by tomorrow, odds are going to price in even more likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. My guess is by tomorrow, we're going to see the odds go up to like 98 or 99% is my guess. For a 25 basis point cut, right? And then if we do something outside of that, which is possible, that's really going to shake markets, right? Like what's going to shake the markets the most is if we do something outside of, like big outside of expectations. It's pretty improbable, and I don't think Powell's going to do that. But it could happen. We'll see, you know. Is the rate cut baking in now? It's already baked in, I would say. Again, a lot of people are theorizing that we're going to correct to the downside after rate cuts. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that we correct to the downside or rip up from rates being cut 25 basis points tomorrow? I think either one of those things is very possible. I don't know. But I think both of those things are pretty probable. Or I think, not probable, sorry. I think both of those things are possible. My guess is that we're going to go down from this. But I think it all matters. What a lot of people are not talking about is tomorrow we get the dot plot update with the summary of economic projections. And that is going to influence where we go. That's where we're going to see what they do versus what the outlook is. And that's going to move markets a lot. And so if we get good projections, bad projections, anything that shows stagflation, you know, more stagflation fears might make the market go down. But I think that's going to matter the most. And again, we're going to live stream the entire thing as we always do right here. So we're going to stream the entire FOMC decision, meeting, review the dot plot, watch where it goes, and cover all of it as soon as it happens. Oil's still pushing up right now. So oil is still rising. Bank of America says net interest income may end up around $15.2 billion in quarter 3. They say the company wants to aim for annual dividend increases. U.S. is reportedly in talks to set up a $5 billion fund for mineral deals, according to Bloomberg. And again, you can see the retail sales report. It's pretty flat right now, though. I kind of want to short this down to here, but I think the trend is hard to figure out right now. Just keep in mind this would be the second cut already after last year's cut. No, so this would actually, I mean, it depends on what time frame you're looking at. Last year we cut rates 3 times. Last year, 3. We cut once in September, 50. We cut another one, I think, in November, another 25. and then we cut another one in December, making it a full percentage point cut last year. It was 3 cuts at the end of last year. And so, yeah, it depends on the time frame we're looking at, but yeah, we cut 3 times last year: September, November, December, full percentage point, which is 100 basis points, is what we did. U.S. SEC announces 4 new members for its investor advisory committee. Yeah, we'll see. We had 2,000 people here for retail sales. I appreciate the love, man. It really does show. People kind of show up for these economic reports. I appreciate you guys. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Also, give me a follow on x.com @beginnertrades. So U.S. average home prices are going to rise 2.1% according to a poll in 2025 and 1.3% in 2026. Typical sell-off into October and up into the new year. Yeah, I mean, we a lot of the time the most bullish months for markets are the holiday months, right? You got to think about it in terms of logic. Sales, increases, bonuses, all that stuff around the holiday season makes people, you know, invest, buy, do all this different stuff. And so, you know, I think the busiest months for markets are, I think, and I might be wrong here, but I think they are October, November, December, and January. I'm pretty sure. The summer months are typically a little bit slower. We get people traveling a lot, going on vacation, going to the beach, hanging out. And so there's just less interest in markets. But it depends on what's going on each year. There's a lot of stuff that could happen each year that influences how much volume and liquidity we get in markets, depending on the time of the year. Hey, thank you for becoming a member. Details by Edison. You now have these great emojis here. Congrats, you know, appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, all good, Kelly. Appreciate the support. Yeah, the SEC would have to approve it. I don't know if they're going to, but the SEC would have to approve it. Regarding the pivot from quarterly reports to twice-a-year reports. To be honest, I'm against this. Just for selfish reasons. Like, I cover a lot of the earnings that come out. I don't cover the earnings as much as some other channels. Some other channels are pretty slow everywhere, and except for earnings. They're going to be the ones that are affected by that the most. But I do cover earnings. And so it would kind of cut it in half for earnings. Which, again, I'm not necessarily... Honestly, as much as I cover earnings, I kind of hate doing it. You're welcome, because I don't like covering earnings. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I don't like sitting there for the earnings call either. Too much, you know. I like covering the earnings. I don't like covering the call. I don't think you can write off entertainment anymore. As somebody that pays way too much taxes, I wish you could. But I don't think you can. Yeah, I cover them anyway. Yeah, what would happen is that each individual earnings report would get more interest. Because it would only be twice a year versus quarterly, you know? So, again, I'm against it personally. All right, guys, we got 30 minutes until the opening bell. Are you guys red or green today? Let me know. I'm green slightly, not the biggest green, but green nonetheless. Green, waiting for the open. It's not that he's telling companies to report less, that he's trying to change the requirement to report. So he's right now the public companies, this is specifically for public companies, right? Like Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, like all these companies. Right now there's a requirement for them to have quarterly updates to their earnings. And this includes EPS, which is earnings per share, which is margins. It's like what the company's profits were, like what their margins look like is EPS. Earnings per share is what it's abbreviated as, EBS, or EPS, I mean. And then you have revenue, which is kind of like how much money they're bringing in. Not really counting for margins, but just revenue. There's other margin indicators within that, but yeah. And then there's guidance, so what they think they're gonna do for the rest of this year, with next year, whatever. And again, they're required to put these numbers out quarterly at this point in time. It's why every quarter you get what's called earnings season. All the big companies report within about a month and a half time frame. Nvidia is usually a little bit later, but you usually get like Tesla, Apple, Amazon. All these big companies report within a couple weeks period of time. And this brings, of course, volatility to markets. It brings interest to markets. Sometimes markets pump on good earnings. Sometimes they go down on bad earnings. Sometimes they pump on bad earnings and go up on good and go down on good earnings. But yeah, it's quarterly now. Essentially, the president's trying to change that. He's trying to get it approved with the SEC right now to only make them do it twice a year instead of 4 times a year. So instead of quarterly, it'll be every half of the year they have to do this if it gets approved by the SEC. Again, I'm against it personally for selfish reasons. And I think there's arguments on both sides outside of that. I genuinely enjoy your channel, The Voice of Reason. Hey, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. No, exactly. So investors would be a little bit less... For investors, it would be a little bit less transparent. And that's the argument against it. 3-minute chart. Yeah, I'm thinking about shorting the top of the range, covering the bottom, but it's just kind of boring at this point. We're not really holding or doing anything. Okay, so the U.S. is reportedly going to consider imposing new national security tariffs on additional imported auto parts, according to Reuters. That might be what's causing this drop. Again, according to Reuters, U.S. is considering imposing new national security tariffs on additional imported auto parts via Reuters. See if we can look up any other breaking news. Milder swings? Well, it depends on the context of... Yeah, I don't know if you meant milder, Frank, or mid swings. What it would probably do is every half of the year, you get more volatility than you would prior. Like, if... It's kind of... It's consolidating the volatility instead of in 4 parts of the year to only 2, right? And so, in theory, it would make those 2 reports per year be even more volatile than they were quarterly, because you have a bigger update, considering you don't have, basically the times you're reporting is getting cut in half. And so in theory, it would make it more volatile 2 times a year versus less volatile 4 times a year, right? And I think that's what most people would probably agree on is the outcome of this, if this ends up getting passed, which again, I don't know if it's going to. I'm against it personally, but we'll see. Very flat market ahead of the opening bell. We're still waiting. Very flat market. Market's trending under that 200 exponential here. With or without the first S there, Lurk. It's just beginner trades. I wonder what the real motivation is. Well, the real motivation is because it's hard to... I think the argument for it would probably be something along the lines of like, when you have to report quarterly, it gives you less time to like build things without worry, right? So if you want to build things up and you're constantly having to report quarterly, you know, financials might be taken out of context, in which, you know, in one end you can build something up. It might take a little bit of while and it might affect margins short term, but long term it's going to massively benefit margins. And so in theory, it would give companies less red tape and ultimately allow them to thrive in a more profound way, is probably the argument for it. I could understand that argument for sure. And I'm a free market person. I'm a capitalist. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a capitalist for sure. But I don't know if I agree with this necessarily, but you know, there's an argument for it, I think. All right, guys, we're pushing up. We're at 607s right now, 607s. Some people think we crashed during FOMC meeting. I think it's possible. I don't think we crashed necessarily. I think we could have a buy the rumor, sell the news, where we're getting baked into bullish action and breaking all-time highs leading into the FOMC meeting. And then when the FOMC cuts start happening and we get the updated dot plot and economic projection summary, that we get some sell-offs, some profit taking. I don't necessarily think we're going to crash, but I think it, you know, you never know. Maybe we do. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, Bank of America is still maintaining their $4,000 an ounce price target for gold next year. Real intention is to make the AI bigger and bigger through time. Market is way too greedy. Quantum company that hasn't even revenue, market cap of 15 billion. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of people are saying we're in a bubble, and I'll give you guys that argument. And I'm not saying we are, right? But I'm going to give you guys the argument for a bubble because I think it makes sense to right now. And I've told this story many times on the stream, but just for maybe some of the new people, it might be good for y'all to understand the story I'm about to say, right? So in the early 90s, the internet was new. With that, we had the standard of IPOing was kind of changed from a company called Netscape, which was a browser company at the time. And prior to Netscape, you know, you needed a certain pattern of profitability prior to IPOing in the stock market, right? The banks and the other companies accepting the IPO or putting on the IPO wouldn't allow you to IPO really until the company Netscape, browser company at the time, IPO'd pre-profits, and they made billions and billions of dollars IPOing pre-profits, right? This effectively changed the standard of IPOs since then. And the internet was that next big thing. And so the gold rush that followed it in terms of IPOs in public markets and tech companies in public markets backed around the internet with .com at the end of their names, surged the markets. If you look at the S&P and the NASDAQ in this period of time, right, here's the S&P. Here's a weekly chart. If you look at the markets in this period of time, right, here's the 90s. Look at this boom in the 90s from this dynamic specifically here. A lot of tech companies IPO'd. And we had this massive boom in the markets in the 90s from this dynamic specifically, right? By 2000 though, you know, number one, you can look at the initial catalyst for this move, which was one of the first ones was Netscape. The reason Netscape ended up going away is because they competed with Microsoft. Microsoft wanted to do a deal with them, and they didn't necessarily want to do a deal with Microsoft. And so Microsoft started offering its Internet Explorer browser for free with their operating systems. And this was when Netscape was still selling their browser to people, right, in a box. And so within a few years, this destroyed Netscape. Netscape went from billions of dollars in valuations down to like a couple million. Eventually was bought by America Online. But that dynamic continued in regards to online companies failing. And by 2000, we had the bubble burst. And so it was called the dot-com crash. And so if you look at this, let me stretch this out just a little bit more. Get out of the way, boss. I'm gonna just put the level 2 up. Yeah, by 2000, you had this bubble burst, and we had one of the longest bear markets in history following it. Now, it's a little bit different, but we downtrended all the way up to 03, 04. I think we started to test the highs again by 06 and 07, but that led us right into the mortgage crisis. And then we ended up coming right back down. Here's 07. And then boom, you have the mortgage disaster. Market crashes. And we had one of the longer bear markets in history from it. Now, going back to the current market here. A lot of people are still saying we are essentially in. Bro, this little thing right here, I don't like it. It needs to get out of the way. There we go. A lot of people are still going to argue right now that we're seeing mirrors of that we're seeing rhymes of that with the current AI market. They're saying AI stocks, quantum stocks, they're overvalued, they're IPOing pre-profits, they are running up and getting these crazy valuations pre-profits. And maybe that's true, but that's been the standard for the last 25 years. And I don't know, maybe we see a big dot-com crash like scenario with AI. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Well, it was Netscape. Again, we're still pretty flat down the middle here. We got 20 minutes. None of the quantum and AI stocks outside of the major players have turned a profit. Yeah, I mean, quantum is going to be the interesting one to see if that bubble bursts. Quantum computers, they have something called superposition, which means they process things simultaneously, where a regular computer will just kind of, it'll go in order. It seems simultaneous to us, but it's not. And so a regular computer will be like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And so, but again, as somebody that programs, like, they do it in order, but it seems simultaneous to us because they do it so quickly. The benefit of quantum, and it's still really, really early, it's still really fragile, they break all the time. They're not the most reliable things right now. The conditions are stringent, but quantum can essentially process things way faster because they have something called superposition, which allows them to process things simultaneously. And again, this is a really simplified explanation of it, but it's still really early. And quantum stocks are up huge. You got like Rigetti, IONQ. You can see the moves that they've made just this year alone, right? Here's 2025 right here. In October of last year, September of last year, this was 80 cents a share. Rigetti was 80 cents a share a year ago. 80 cents a share. It is now at $20 a share. You can look at IONQ. IONQ last year at the same period was $6.74 a share. It's now $60 a share. And there's lots more examples of quantum stocks getting pumped up big over the last year. And again, I think it's probably the future, but it's still really early to tell. It's still really early to tell. I mean, programming I've built a lot of stuff with React Native, mobile developments and stuff like that. JavaScript is what it is. My real estate license is inactive right now, so I don't have time to go out there and market myself as a realtor. I don't really, you know. But that's the ADHD brain right there, you know. I learn a lot of stuff. I don't commit to any of it. Being too early requires patience, 100%, man. You know, business requires patience. You know, they say 1 out of 6. They say 6 businesses fail before 1 succeeds. And I've said it before. I think that's honestly a pretty optimistic stat. What that means is you can keep trying. Eventually, one's gonna stick, and you'll be able to make money from it. Most people give up before they try 6 different businesses, though. Yeah, but China is a real player. DeepSeek, a lot of people say is really good. Really good in terms of AI. In terms of microchips, they've got a pretty big margin to catch up to. You know, like the Nvidia got a big head start. And so AI, they might be doing pretty well. In terms of chip production, they got a pretty big lag behind it. Inspired or nothing. Yeah, I'm either obsessed with it or I don't care at all about it. You know, there's no in between. Yeah, so again, we're under 24.6. The market's very stagnant right now. We got 15 minutes until the opening bell. Yeah, 1 and 6 is about right, I would say. I think it depends on the person, though. Certain people are just going to be better at it. I'm not even saying that's me. I'm just saying, you know, certain people are going to be worse at it and certain people are going to be better at it. So I'm sure if you're really good at business, you can have a much better success rate than, you know, 1 out of 6. But, you know, it's subjective. Yeah, and one of the things that's incredibly obvious regarding China is that they certainly see us as rivals in terms of tech, of course. You know, I thought yesterday's article was very strategic, you know. So, like, they're putting out articles that say they're accusing NVIDIA of anti-competitive practices yesterday. And you better believe that's intentional. Like, they want to compete. And so, and honestly, the US is doing the same thing. And so they're both very strategic with these type of catalysts. Yeah, Palantir's been crazy. SoFi's been crazy. Palantir's been wild, though. But again, Palantir's increases have been from a lot of different stuff. The PE ratio is a little elevated, but optimism, government contracts, like there's just a lot of stuff they're doing. I never use pivot points. I draw my own support and resistance. They might reflect certain pivot points, but they're mostly self-drawn. The rumor is not who bought them, it's who will. Altuve. But it's a lot of rumors have been circulating around Oracle, and I think Oracle went back up a lot based off of those rumors yesterday. I'm not saying they're true, but this is just speculation. Could be Oracle. I think Oracle makes sense, but you never know. All right, are you bullish or bearish for the opening bell? I'll do a poll. All right, so there's the poll. Are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell? Still rejecting at 24.6, but sideways. The rumor is that Oracle is buying them. TT. Don't do it, Matt. Not an investment professional. Not liable if you lose. I don't even vote on this poll. I'm always neutral at the opening bell. You know? Understand all this stuff on screen. Oh, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. Great way to help support the channel. No PDT in futures. We're going to be day trading live at the opening bell on Top Step's funded account program. They give you a 50K demo, 100K demo, 150K demo, depending on which one you buy. The base one's $50 a month. And most day traders lose money. And so if you fund your own account thousands of dollars, you're probably going to lose it. It makes no sense to do that, especially in the beginning. Instead, $50 a month for the base one. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. And if you pass it, there is an activation fee. But if you fail, you're out $50, $100. It's not the end of the world. Great way to learn in a structured environment. And most day traders are going to lose, regardless of where they go, including here. But frankly, this is a lot cheaper to lose and learn. You can learn without the burn, essentially, here. And it just makes sense, guys. It just makes sense. Understand all this stuff on screen. I'm not an investment professional. They pay me money. I am biased because of it. I get paid by them, so I'm biased. Some would say I'm the top 3 most biased ever, but genuinely useful for traders. I'll put the link up if you want to help support the channel. And I appreciate the love. Don't buy Oracle. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do. Do whatever you want to do, but I'm not liable for it. You know, I'm not liable for it. If you look right here, remember what this says up here. Right there. Remember all that stuff on screen. Can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. And, go. GDP is being propped up by Mag 7? Maybe. I think most people would agree GDP is, or Mag 7 is propping markets up. Yeah, gold's rebounding. Honestly, dip buys in gold have been really profitable lately. All right, guys, 9 minutes, 8 minutes, really. All right, so publicly traded capital B raises 63 million to buy more Bitcoin. We had industrial production numbers come out at 0.9%. Previous was 1.43%. These aren't really big market movers, by the way. But they showed up a couple minutes ago. Again, 0.9%, previous 1.43%. So, again, not really a... The president also said a couple minutes ago, speaking of TT, he said a group of very big companies wants to buy TikTok, according to the president. And he said, we have a deal on TT. We'll be announcing buyer for TikTok. Let me see, did he say this on Truth? Okay. No, we didn't. Okay. He also said Europe has to stop buying oil from Russia. Have confidence in everybody in administration. The Ukrainian president is going to have to make a deal, he says. kind of covering the news as it comes out. He says the UK wants to discuss tweaks to the trade pact and he's willing to listen. Yeah, good luck with that, Robert. I wish you the best on that, dude. He paid tribute to Robert Redford. Rest in peace. He passed this morning, Robert Redford. All right, guys. 5.5 minutes. So we already talked about Prez wanting to end mandatory quarterly reports and break them down to mandatory half-year reports. Each individual report would probably be more volatile and influential because it would consolidate interest to 2 times a year instead of 4. But again, I'm personally against it. Gold rebounding, NASDAQ flushing down a little bit. I'm going to put NVIDIA here. Retail sales were much stronger than expected. You can see them scrolling at the bottom of the screen is what this report means. We're starting to get a flush down here right ahead of the opening bell. It could be the market on open data. This red candle. This is NVIDIA, it looks like. Tesla too, dropping. 4 minutes. No, that's basically all the economic reports today. We had Canadian CPI show up slightly lower than expected earlier. Capacity utilization, industrial production numbers that were mostly positive versus negative expectations, but they're not really market movers. Outside of that, we don't really have anything. We got like advanced retail inventories. We'll see what that looks like. It's supposed to drop at 10. We got the Atlanta Fed GDP now at 12:30. Okay, so we had the Brazil finance minister Haddad says commodities affected by steeper U.S. tariffs are already being directed to other markets, and President Lula invited the U.S. president to dialogue. They are now fully willing to sit at the negotiation table, according to them. So, again, very flat market. Gold is bouncing back though. Nvidia is falling down a little bit. Yeah, a lot of hedging for tomorrow. I still think we might have a big range but choppy day today, personally, is what I think. It's the day before the FOMC decision. Maybe tomorrow before the FOMC decision we'll have even more volatility or even more choppiness, I mean, just because it's the same day. But you never know. Sometimes we run big, sometimes we dip big ahead of this meeting. It depends on what you guys think. Like, we could run up today and then correct tomorrow after the decision, or vice versa. It depends, but we will try to day trade. Yesterday was a terrible day for me day trading. My computer, it looks like my computer's working well now, which is good. But some weird update force and driver being outdated caused these weird. Let me check the log. Hold on. Actually, now that I'm thinking about that. Logs are pretty safe, I would say. All right, so we're correcting a little bit ahead of the opening bell. We got 1 minute left. All right, so breaking down a little bit. Gold's pushing up. Nvidia's still falling. Looking at breaking news. Yeah, here we go. We got 30 seconds. Nasdaq's starting to give it back a little bit ahead of the open. Hey, thanks, Lurk. All right, there's the bell, guys. Nasdaq bounced at about 585. All right, look at Nvidia pump at the opening bell here. Yeah, Tesla's starting to give it back. I mean, Tesla, it's kind of buy the rumor, sell the news thing, but I'm not expecting it to hold all these gains short term. All right, Nvidia correcting to the downside too. Again, hit the live button next to the play button if the bell was delayed. You should catch right back up. Nasdaq starting to flush back down here. Again, very kind of undecided open. We got up moves, down moves. We gotta wait a little bit. I gotta wait to trade some first. So we're starting to flush down. We're at 580s. $575s almost. Gold at 37.30s. Watch 575 right here. Kind of undecided right now. I don't really know if I like any of this direction here. What's up, Joel? Yeah, I see Turb. Open door has flushed at the open. Unintended, I guess. It wasn't really intended, but it's there. Yeah, gold. I'm in target right now. Maybe I should have added more to target, but it's alright. I've already taken profit in target. I don't really want to add back. I don't know much about those. CRDO, I don't know much about it, to be honest. Big gains, though. But at this point, it looks a little too elevated for me up here. Same thing with LEU. Although LEU is, again, very elevated over the last 2 months. I'm not really interested in buying either one of these, to be honest. They're too high. I'm not saying they don't keep running, just the risk is a little bit too high for me. Yeah, I saw that about Robert Redford. Rest in peace. Alright, so we're breaking down here. We're under 575. This is mostly Nvidia, Tesla. What else is dropping? $251.96 for Google. Okay, this is mostly Nvidia falling down and Tesla here. We're about 5 minutes into the day, so I could trade this. I was thinking about shorting 575, my level here, but looks like I just missed it. I think there's too big of a chance Nvidia bounces back up some too, but we are close to the opening bell. Short right here into this. Small. I might add to 585s too. It's very small. We're green on the day already, but it's very small. Might add to it when we break down here and just hold it tight. See if we can get out half there. Nice. Got the rest down here. Quick little scalping trade, building up more profit on the day. We'll give it a second now. Might keep breaking down, but that's fine. Why is the drop at the opening bell? I mean, there's no rhyme or reason necessarily. You can make stories and arguments and theories about why we're dropping, but the opening bell's volatile. And I mean, we're dropping because Nvidia is dropping. Nvidia has gone up a lot the last few days, although it's right on the day. But I would make an argument that we could just continue to look like this leading into tomorrow. Like big range, but sideways. FOMC decisions got a lot of people apprehensive. And so maybe this means you can buy the dip here. I don't know. At 575 level, still, you know, respecting pretty heavy here. Look. Yeah, as we get farther away from the open, I'll probably take some more trades that are longer, but for now, I just gotta sit tight. We only traded twice today. We made money both times. But, depends on what you think Nvidia is going to do. Nvidia is what you're trying to predict right now, and Nvidia is bouncing back, I think. Tesla has been as well. Definitely looks heavy, but sometimes that means shorts can get squeezed out. Microsoft's is breaking down as well. Microsoft's down to 514s. I'm kind of waiting here. We got into one short trade, and I could have held it in hindsight, but we're so close to the bell. I'm not really trying to take some long-term trend, especially the day before FOMC. I think I just got to be careful and trade smart. Again, y'all check out Top Step if you want to help support the channel. No PDT rule in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, currencies in some places, commodities. Very similar to day trading stocks. Get you around the PDT rule. You can day trade you can day trade the very similar patterns to day trading stocks. There's just no PDT rule in futures. Top Step helps you get around it. They give you a 50K demo, 100K demo. If you pass the test, you get funded. If you fail, you only lose what you pay for it. And so it's just a good way to learn. I'll put the link up. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. I understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm just kind of waiting for a pattern to play out. Understand all this stuff on screen. Can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. There's the link right there. Nvidia's climbing back, but what's dropping now is Microsoft. So if you look at Microsoft now, Microsoft's red on the day and it's falling. Okay, so we got a couple different catalysts that came out. Wells Fargo Investment Institute, they raised the S&P target at the end of the year to 66 to 6,800. Previous was 63 to 65. Raised next year's price target as well to 74 to 76. Google new plan is to build trust in AI agents as personal shoppers, according to Axios. So AI agent-driven e-commerce could get a boost from Google Cloud-backed software, or from Google-backed software standard unveiled Tuesday that aims to make chatbot-enabled purchases smoother and more trustworthy. I was almost buying this dip, but I gotta wait. Market just looks so strong, shorting it anytime is risky. Yeah, I think my sentiment is neutral right now. Depends on what the projections look like. My sentiment's honestly pretty flat, pretty neutral. we get a bounce anywhere. All right, there's the NASDAQ dump here. Make sure there's no news out. Hold on. All right, the president said the Fed should listen to people, but they have to make a choice. I see that news that just came out. Again, NASDAQ hit. We're very choppy. Tesla's starting to rebound up. Microsoft's still at these low levels here. Gold dipped and then it's recovering now. Where's the VIX at? VIX is rising this morning on uncertainty. He said we have a group of companies that want to buy TikTok. That already came out. We are in a gold trade right now. We're up pretty nicely in this. I'm kind of scaling out as we rip up. And I'll probably hold the rest break even. We're already up a decent amount. Gold a little bit more time to rise here. If it doesn't, that's okay. Pushing up. I think I'm just going to cut it right here. The nice green trade. Very nice green trade. We're green on the day. Yeah. Nice green trade. We bought the dip in gold here. Down here at about 37.30. NASDAQ, with that said, though, it's consolidating around these lows. Hasn't really gone much, like almost anywhere. All right, so the president denied he compromised on 15% auto tariffs. Again, he said the Fed should listen to people, but they have to make a choice. We have a group of companies that want to buy TT. Tesla breaking back down under the volume weighted average price. Disney, Warner Bros. Discovery, and Universal seek damages and injunction against Minimax for copyright infringement via a court document. Gold breakout incoming. Yeah, I mean, I bought the dip in gold. We got out, though. I'm too convinced we're going to chop. I think gold might be a little bit more bullish or optimistic leading into the Fed meeting, but I don't know for sure. And so we got to just be careful at this point right now. I mean, we're going to cut rates 25 basis points. I don't think that's really what's going to move things. I think 25 basis points is already pretty much baked into markets. We're at, what, 90-something% odds? And the closer we get, it's going to make these odds sharper and sharper, right? At this point, we're at over 96% chance, less than 4% chance of a 50 cut tomorrow. But what's going to matter is the speech, the summary of economic projections, and dot plot update. All right, look at this drop. All right, so I'm seeing a couple rulings right now, or a couple things. The Department of Justice is going to challenge the ruling on Fed's Cook soon at the Supreme Court, according to the New York Times. The Department of Justice, again, going to challenge the ruling on Cook at Supreme Court. The president also says it looks like he'll have to sit in a room with Zelensky and Putin, he says. Let's see what that looks like. NASDAQ breaking down here, dropping. Fear maybe into FOMC. Yeah, we'll see what the dot plot and summary of economic projections looks like tomorrow. I think we're going to cut rates 25 basis points, though. We could always do 50. I think it's less likely. It's less than 10 to 1 odds that we're going to do 25 tomorrow, but you never know. We'll have to be patient here and wait. Look at the VIX. VIX is over 16 now. Yeah, Bitcoin at 115s. NASDAQ flushing. Trump said to Venezuela, stop sending... All right, so we broke it down pretty significantly today. Let's see what we get today, guys. Gold. Should have held that long, but again, we're up nice. I'm not going to be too greedy today. We've had a lot of green trades. I'll take it. Green is good. We traded gold. I've been trading gold a lot more, especially ahead of the FOMC meeting. I think it makes sense too. President also said Zelensky's going to have to make a deal. Europe must stop buying oil from Russia. Yeah, I don't know. Gold elevated. Again, I think we could have a big range but sideways, but I really don't know. I'm probably going to get out of here, guys. So remember, tomorrow, FOMC day. Again, check out Top Step. Beautiful way to learn day trading. Most day traders lose $50 a month for the base one. I wish I had something like this. I lost thousands in my first few weeks trying to day trade. Don't be like me. Instead, limit your risk. Learn in a structured environment without the burn. And $50 a month for the base one. They're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. Genuinely useful for traders, though. $50 a month. If you fail, you're out $50. If you pass it, 50K funded account, 90% split. They pay out millions, fund thousands. You can now reactivate funded accounts as well. Great way to learn how to day trade. I'll put the link up. They pay out millions, fund thousands. Day trading futures, very similar to day trading stocks. And yeah, guys, listen, as soon as I close this stream, it's going to immediately redirect you to tomorrow's stream. And I'm just going to say this here, guys. Number one, understand all this stuff on screen. If you do not sit and wait, I'm joking, but if you don't sit and wait without going to the bathroom, I'm judging you. That's all I'm saying. Do what you want to do. But if you don't sit and wait for me all the way until tomorrow, for the next 21 hours, I think it says, you know, you don't care about me. That's all I'm saying. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. As soon as I end the stream, it'll bring you there. Have a great day, guys.